Hey, this is Jock Samson, the king of the one night stand and the greatest goddamn wrestler of all time. And you're watching Drinking with Modes. I hate being a professional.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Drinking at Mo's. Your host, Big Mo here. And I am excited today to have with me Jock Samson. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm in my garage here in the great state of Ohio. I got the beautiful Ohio flag behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Next to my lawnmower, and I'm out here in my garage eating 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. And I got me a rum and Coke. So
okay.
I've been, I know a lot of independent wrestlers ain't going to understand this, but, you know, I own a home and I don't live in an apartment complex like a lot of professional wrestlers do. And I have all these properties because, I got to mow grass. And I know it's strange to do anything but play Xbox and play fucking video games and jack off the Stranger Things and shit like that. I mean, I'm a grown ass man with a mortgage.
Hey, I'm the same. My wife and me got our little house, and like I kind of mentioned before we started recording, now we got 2 little ones that we're hoping to get home here as soon as possible, and we got our dogs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I hope and pray for you and them little ones there. I'm sure they're gonna get home and they're gonna be raising hell.
Oh, I'm confident in that. They're already being known in the NICU as being, like I said, being feisty little ones. So I take that as good news, because if they're being feisty, that means they're putting up a fight. So
that's right. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Amen. What's their names?
Ember and Estelle.
I love it. Older names. I love it.
Yeah. Wife picked them out, but asked me what I thought, and I'm just like, you say them to yourself, and you're like, yeah, I can go with that.
My little girl's name is Scarlett. She's 8. And she is her father's daughter because she likes to talk trash 24/7. Living in my house is like living in the movie White Men Can't Jump, where all they do is just talk shit to each other all the time. My 8-year-old looks at me and says, "Your mama's an astronaut." I said, "My mom's too drunk to be an astronaut. I actually mean it." Just like in the movie. So yeah, our house is a nonstop trash talking, court basketball trash talking place.
Oh yeah, no, I have a feeling my house is going to be more of the same, because my wife and me, we definitely do some of the giving each other shit, trash talking every now and then. I can imagine the kids start hearing it, and they're just going to join right in at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will. Just like when they're 3 years old, they run through the house like the damn Ultimate Warrior.
Yep. I made the mistake with I'm wanting to say one of my nephews when he was like a year or 2 younger than he is now. And, they, at some point, they're always like a sponge of information. They hear a word, they want to repeat it. And I forget where the conversation started, but I started talking about South Park and that running gag they had for a while, kick the baby. And then before I kid you not, that nephew comes walking in, and all of a sudden I hear, "Kick the baby." I'm like, oh shit. Did not. I need to be careful around him.
He's all right.
But one of the first questions, wrestling related questions, I like to ask each of my guests is, what got you started as a fan? And then what got you started, making the leap into wrestling?
Well, what I've said this story a few times. I'm 42 years old. I was around in the 1980s, the heyday of the WWF.
Yep.
So every Saturday, my mom would take me when you could rent movies for $1 a piece for a day. You know, a lot of you guys don't understand going to the video store. That was the thing.
Oh yeah.
And we had a little.
Oh, I was going to say I was born in '83, so I mean I was there with that.
Yeah. So we had this little hardware store in this little hometown of mine called Nelsonville, Ohio, called LS, Lancaster Sales. Little mom and pop, hardware store, where you go in and get whatever the hell you need. And they actually know what they're talking about. Instead of like going to Lowe's and like, hey man, I need a wood screw, and they get you, something. They give you a hammer.
Yeah.
So, and I went in there and she gave me the money because I'd get pizza with it. And I look up and I see a case cover of this big monstrous dude staring down at another monstrous dude. And it was Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3. And what an unbelievable impression it had on me. I watched it. I fell in love with the business. I couldn't get enough of it. Every chance I could, I was watching wrestling. I didn't care after school, ESPN, when they had World Class or AWA and 605.
This has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I just saw this thing on the Facebook where it said, should a man have to be forced to marry a woman that he accidentally impregnated? Accidentally impregnated. Yeah, he slipped and fell and his dick went right into her vagina. Fucking dumb
shit, piss, fuck, cock, pee pee, wiener, butthole, wee wee, suck, fart, fairy, hairy, poopy, scooby, pee pee, poopy, doopy, loopy, fuck, nut.
Who are a few of your other favorites from growing up?
Well, I liked anybody that could talk. Like Roddy Piper, Macho, Ric Flair. I was never into guys that I didn't care about wrestling. I didn't care about the wrestling. I wanted to see people talk shit. I wanted to see the attraction. I wanted to see two guys have an issue with each other, have a match to it, build to it. Macho was favorite. Now that I'm a wrestler, I look back at guys that I didn't appreciate, like Adrian Adonis. He was so good. Dick Murdoch. Arn Anderson. They were good heels, but I never appreciated them when I was a kid because all I saw was good guy and bad guy.
Yeah.
And you go back and look and you're like, man, that guy was good. Jake the Snake, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Honky Tonk, man. You could put the entire 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Everybody that was involved in WWF, Hillbilly Jim, it was not a work rate guy, but you couldn't tell me that at 9-10 years old. I just thought those guys were phenomenal. Ultimate Warrior, I didn't realize I didn't understand when people say, man, he wasn't good in the ring. I didn't know that at 8.
Yeah. Yeah. At that age, you're thinking, you see the colors and the intensity and just and you're like, holy crap, that is awesome.
I think that's what we lost with wrestling a lot now is we worry more about the aesthetics of the business than we do the personal issues, the story, the attraction of the match. I think that's a big part of what I think, it's more of a holy shit era.
Yeah.
Instead of holy, these two guys are going to settle it and good always wins in the end. That's a different world and it's a different business. And I understand that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that I can see that. And I know for me, I also gravitated towards some of the talkers and the guys that it's like they just grabbed your attention. And I know one of my personal favorites growing up was the Legion of Doom. Love those guys. Not only could they, like, in their promos and interviews where they could talk, and they drew you in with their intensity, and like you knew when those guys got in the ring that they were gonna beat the shit out of somebody.
Oh yeah, like you believed it when they said they were going to do it. You believed it.
Mm-hmm.
You heard Iron Man coming out. You knew someone was going to get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
And where are you at? Nebraska, Iowa,
Nebraska.
Cornhuskers. All right. Well, you're in the AWA area too, so you calling them Legion of Doom it's kind of weird.
Well,
because I figured that would be Road Warriors.
I kind of switch back and forth that when I talk about them, because when they were more known as the Road Warriors, I was only about, like 2, 3, 4 years old. So I don't remember an entire lot from that point in time. But I remember, like, as far back as I can actually remember, I just remember the music hitting and it come out with the spiked shoulder pads and all that. It's just like me and the little kid that I was, I'm just like, oh my God, I love those guys.
Oh, they were amazing. I mean, they just come out and beat the shit out of people. And and then Paul Ellering added to it. Just phenomenal. And the fact that they're not here with us is just crazy to think.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like, I remember when I heard about Hawk, and it's just like, oh man, because I think that wasn't too long after they had that match on Raw. I think it was against Rob Van Dam and Kane. Like, it wasn't all that long after that he passed, I don't think.
Yeah.
And, I always had hoped that I'd get to meet both or at least one of them, and never did get around to that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be near where I live now. Animal was. And then 3 or 4 days before he was supposed to be there, he passed away.
Yeah.
It was going to be him and Ellering was going to be in the mall in Parkersburg, West Virginia, because I live like 2 minutes from West Virginia now.
Okay.
I live right in Ohio.
Mm.
I grew up more in the meat of Ohio, but I live close to West. My wife's from West Virginia, so we just kind of have a happy medium.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's crazy to think. I was kind of hoping to swing by the mall there and maybe shake his hand a little bit. That would have been very cool.
Oh yeah. No, I've been lucky enough to meet a bunch of my favorites. Like I met Edge a while back, and there's that Elimination Chamber DVD cover where it's like, it looks like he's biting the cage. I got that framed at my house.
Oh wow.
And met Jericho, met Tommy Dreamer, I actually got invited to a Warrior Wrestling event, and I actually got to meet a handful of my current favorites that are going right now, like Jonah, got a Jeff Cobb, and got to meet Mike Bennett again. So, it was fun.
Yeah, you get to meet some people you like. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, no, and one thing when doing my homework for the episode, I was noticing, like, you've earned a lot of titles, but there's like a good mix of tag team and singles titles. What are some of, like, for some of the more casual fans out there, what are some of the more, like, differences and intricacies of, like, tag team versus singles?
Well, you got to find somebody, if you're going to tag, you got to find someone that can work together. I'm a big sports guy. So you got to find, 4 tires. You need an engine to make to drive a truck or drive a car.
Yeah.
And and also trying to get someone that you can stand to be on the road with. How many tag teams break up and hate each other when they're done? I prefer more singles wrestling because I like relying on myself. But I just like the camaraderie of the tag. I do like tag matches somewhat better because you can do a little bit more and you have a little bit more fun in there. But it's hard a lot of times when you're a tag team and trying to get together on your dates and trying to match up and trying to make sure you're all together, because that's a big part of being a tag team. But I never meant to be in a tag team.
It just kind of happens. Yep. Like I know a lot of people when talking with, tag team wrestling versus singles is, singles, it's just you and the other guy. You can work around a lot of stuff, but you add those 2 other people, the other tag team and then your partner, you got those other moving pieces of the puzzle that you got to make sure, everybody's doing whatever.
Yeah, you got to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and that's the biggest part.
Yeah,
is you're all in there together, working on everything, and it can. And the thing is there's 4 guys in there too, so if it's going wrong, if it's going bad, it's going bad.
Yeah,
it's going to go bad quick. Working. So you got to know how to get in there and tell a story and make sure you work as a team and where it looks pretty, or you just got to know how to tell a story in that sense.
Yeah. No, and like you said, with doing all of that, there's not as many moving pieces with telling the stories in singles wrestling as there is in tag team. I consider myself a big fan of tag team wrestling, which unfortunately in a lot of the big promotions out there right now, it's like tag team wrestling is kind of getting put on the back burner.
Sure. Yeah, you don't see it as much, but if you really think about it, like if you're a promoter, it's hard to book tag teams because for one match you got to pay 4 guys.
Yeah. True.
And that can get very pricey because, like, what if you tried to book 2 tag matches on the same show? Then you got to pay 8 guys, and that's just 2 matches.
Yeah.
And if they got managers on top of that, you got to pay them.
Yeah.
And I know Vince, no, sorry, not Vince now, but WWE and AEW, they have a little bit bigger budget, but it's all somewhat relative because why pay 8 guys when you can put like 4 random dudes together and it works to a story where it's just not like a tag team.
No,
I do miss the days in the 80s when the tag team wrestling was just ripping and shredding, man. NWA, WWF, they were just like killing it, man. Like I loved Demolition as a kid.
Oh yeah. No, they were definitely an impressive sight. With today, who are some of we talked about favorites growing up. Who are some of your favorites out of your peers or your favorites out of the current crop, I guess would be?
I don't know a lot because I don't really watch a whole lot of wrestling anymore. Me and my wife, we own our home and we own a lot of property. So we do a lot of managing that because when I'm home, I'm mowing grass and fixing something, plumbing, whatever, of taking care of these properties that we have. And I try to stay away from wrestling when I'm home because I would prefer to I'm a sports guy.
Yeah. No,
and I'm very passionate about professional wrestling. I just feel like I need to have something different.
That makes sense.
Because I mean, when you come home, you got an 8-year-old at home. It's Monday night, and you want to watch wrestling. She's not too understanding. She's like, "No, Daddy, we're watching Encanto."
Yeah.
It's all about Bruno. That's all. It's all I get to hear now. It's all about Bruno.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. When you are out there living it so much, when you get some time away from being in the ring, you kind of want to be doing or watching other things like pro sports. Like I got my San Diego Padres hat on. I was stationed there in the Navy, but I was also a huge Padres fan from like the days of Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman and some like the big guys. And when I found out I was getting stationed there, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
That's right. 1999 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I even got a tattoo of the logo with an anchor on my right calf. That's
awesome. Well, I'm a piece of shit Cincinnati Reds fan because we traded like 10 guys yesterday.
Oh, man.
And me and my wife were going around breaking shit because we were so upset. Traded 10 motherfuckers. You want to get me fired up? Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds. I'm watching them lose right now to the fucking Marlins. God damn. Shit gets me fired up. But I'll get back to wrestling. I'll say this right now. The pro wrestler that I've enjoyed here, the stuff that I get to see is a guy who should have got credit 25 years ago is Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, man. Jeff Jarrett. Like, he was a really good hand 20 years ago when he was world champion and stuff at Impact, and the Double J. I mean, everything he did, this stuff that he did, and with the match with Ric Flair was absolute. I mean, his part in it, and Jay Lethal too. Jay Lethal did a great job. He did a great job, but people slept on Jeff Jarrett for all these years. His podcast is a hit.
That it is.
It's probably my favorite wrestling podcast now. I got to wrestle Jeff Jarrett back in 2016 in Southern Illinois at a ballpark for Global. And he was the nicest dude, taught me a lot that night. But you think about this, like, does this angle with Flair work as well as it did if Jeff Jarrett's not the guy?
Makes sense.
Like, he's the perfect guy that you could have put in there with him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he carried it. He was a great heel. I mean, an unbelievable heel.
Oh, yeah. No, Pete. The thing I always say about heels is like their job is to get you to hate them and want the guy across from them to beat the shit out of them. And I didn't get to watch the event, but from everything I've seen and heard of, like the promos and the event itself, it's like, yep, Jeff was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably not his best work ever, because his best work was in the past. But this is his best well-known stuff. I mean, unbelievable. The whole story that they had, that had me interested, because I see that. Like, I don't think wrestling has stories like it used to.
Yeah.
That was a story. That was like, God damn, I kind of want to see it.
And I mean, you're saying.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, even going back, like, oh, this was like a few months ago, but when GCW had their Hammerstein show, and the story he had leading up to that in his story with Effy. Holy crap, that match was good.
Well, I want to talk about Effy a little bit later.
Okay.
But we'll come back. But yeah, he walks out, he hits him with the guitar. Unbelievable. The fact that this man is 53, 54, 55 years old, he looks phenomenal.
He does.
I mean, he's a hell of a businessman. Like, if WWE was smart, they're probably going to now, but I would have him wrestle occasionally, and I would have him doing some stuff. He's an asset that you could build something around.
Oh yeah, that is true. People give him a lot of shit, but that is true.
Goddamn Wasp just came in here and hit me on the elbow. I'm out here in my fucking garage, so I mean, shit gonna fly in and out. I killed a black snake. I didn't kill me. I captured a black snake in here a couple weeks ago. So,
oh boy,
left the garage door open. It fucker slithered in. I mean, yeah, ain't no thing. When you live in the country, that's what you're gonna get.
Yep, I've had that happen at my parents' house before. We get home from somebody left the garage door open, and then we go to arrive home, and there's a big black snake just sitting there right at the front of the garage.
That's right. And I hate snakes, but it is what it is.
No.
And it is what it is.
You mentioned wanting to talk about Effy.
Me and Effy don't get along very well.
Okay.
I thought we were cool. But a long time, we were at a show last summer, ran into each other, after, hanging out, being friends. And then he gives me the big league attitude. He's like, yeah, how you doing? How you doing, kid? And I'm over here like, motherfucker, I've been wrestling longer than you. Don't fucking call me kid. He was disrespecting me, telling me you don't want to hang out with someone who likes to drink, and I challenged him to a goddamn fist fight right there. And he wouldn't, want nothing to do with it, and I've been trying to call him out for the last year. He's running from me. He don't want nothing to do with me. He don't even want to be on the same shows as me. So, Effy, if you're listening to this, quit being a fucking pussy. Get on show with me and fight me. We don't even have to do it at a fucking show. We can just goddamn meet down the street. But I would prefer to draw some money.
When I
not against fighting in the street.
Yeah. No, when I release this, I can definitely tag him and see if we can get his eyes on it and maybe get a response out of him finally.
Well, I mean, he's too busy kissing people, his ass up the fucking ladder in GCW, just kissing everyone's fucking ass. I'll fight you, Effy. I'll fight you in a bar. If you want to meet at a Waffle House, when you fight there in the parking lot, I don't give a fuck. We'll fight. You're gonna have to wrestle. I mean, this is mano a mano, homeboy. You don't do that shit. My fucking family was with me when you did this, so you don't fucking you don't. I had to try to play it off like it was cool, because I'm not the kind of guy going to fight in front of my kid.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get him to walk down the street with me, but he fucking wouldn't do it. He didn't want nothing to do with me. He knows that I'm going to fucking bare knuckle his ass to death. So, Effy, be a fucking man and fucking find me. Come to my house. I'll come to your house. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That's one thing you don't do when somebody's with their family,
So there it is. That's all I really want to say about him.
That's fine. Now, next thing, I got a couple categories. We got a few. I got a name game, I used to call it the speed round, but it never ended up being that speedy where I name off some names, you give me your thoughts on them, and I tailor it to people you've shared the ring with, whether teaming with them or whatever. And I go back, like I start digging, and then I'm like, okay, that's a name I want to hear about. So first off, a guy that we haven't seen in a while, MJF.
You want one word, or how do you?
Give me your thoughts on him.
I think he's the future of the wrestling business.
That I can see that, because not only is he good on the mic, which I mean he makes that plainly obvious. You have, we talked about playing the heel and the job of a heel. That man can play that job better than just about anybody I've seen in quite some time.
Let me tell you a secret here. He's not playing. That's him.
You see videos of him at different things, and you start to wonder, but then you hear from you right now, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that.
Box office.
Yeah,
he's box office.
That is true. That is true, and he's proven it time and time again. Next name, Mance Warner.
Mance, oh man, a crazy, wild outlaw son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh man, I joke with on Twitter, fly, but I joke on Twitter every time I watch one of his matches with the Sing Gear crew in GCW. I'm like, damn, do they got they need to get like a Home Depot sponsorship or some shit with the freaking amount of doors and shit they use in fucking matches. It's insane.
Oh yeah. Mance is a good one. He's one of the good ones.
That's awesome. And the little interactions I've had with him online, I can see that. He seems like quite the good dude.
He's a genuine article. Yeah.
Oh no. Go ahead. I didn't mean.
I was just gonna say he's a genuine article.
That's awesome. Next one, guy that making a big splash there now with Hook in AEW, Danhausen.
Oh, Danhausen. We had a little match in West Virginia, and for a place called Pro Wrestling Conquest. They drew about 600 people. And the line that I seen for a guy like that was just incredible to meet him and buy his merchandise. The fact that he got over without wrestling says all you need to know about him.
Yeah.
So that he's an odd bird.
Yeah, that he is. And the stuff that he is doing there in AEW is like, holy shit, the guy is over. I think the only matches he's won have been with Hook. Every other match is basically a squash match, but that guy's about as over as anybody.
Ain't got to do nothing if you ain't got to do it.
Hey, nothing wrong there. If you can do it, why the hell not?
If it ain't broke.
Exactly. Last but not least, Swoggle.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking Swoggle. I've been around this motherfucker. I don't know how many goddamn times. Fucker can this is saying a lot. He's fucking 2 feet tall, can outdrink me. He can out crazy me. Just He's a good guy, good fucking good dude. But man, what a wild motherfucker! Just never. I mean, he's a good fucking time, man. Like we had a good match in Remix Pro in Marietta, Ohio. And we just went out there and motherfucker sticking Lucky Charms in my fucking mouth and shit. Takes me over and goddamn Bob Holly's sitting at a table and he said, "Hey Bob, chop him." I'm like, "Fuck."
Oh God.
Fuck.
Oh,
okay.
No.
But yeah, he's a wild dude, man. Good guy.
That's awesome.
He should be a Hall of Famer for WWE.
That he makes a good case for it. Next, I got a category random question around, some wrestling related, some not. But you answer how you see fit. Craziest in-match moment and craziest road story.
Craziest in-match, anytime that I've ever been assaulted by a fan. And it's happened 15 times.
Okay.
So the one off the top of my head, I'm in Ronceverte, West Virginia. And I'm down in coal country. I'm talking like fucking coal miners getting off of work and going to the fucking bar where we had the show. So the promoter comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want you to whoop the ass of the bar manager." I'm going like, well, what? He's not a wrestler. He's not going to know what the fuck to do. So I've got to like whoop his ass so he would understand what to do. If he can feel it, he can sell it. So I'm whooping this guy's ass. And next thing I know, there's some dude who reaches underneath the bottom rope and hooks my feet. And he's trying to pull me down. He's trying to stop me from beating the shit out of
oh
boy. Trying to pull me out. So I kind of turn around into the rope and I go through the middle rope and I punch this fucker on the top of the head. So he'd let go as hard as I possibly could fucking punch somebody. And I busted him wide open.
Oh boy.
And fucker, I mean, just started pouring. Next thing I look, there's a table of coal miners in their fucking coal mining suits, the soot. You could see the soot in their face. They washed it the best they could. They all get up and start walking to the fucking ring.
Oh no.
And I'm wrestling Henry Godwin. So Henry Godwin sees it, runs out and saves my life. Because them coal miners were going to, there was 5 of them, and they were big country, like hillbilly dudes. They were going to fucking put me in the ground. I've got 15 stories or so about just that. We could do a whole podcast, me telling you every time I got hit by a fan and had to defend myself.
Oh boy, that'd be an interesting one.
And I mean, it's unbelievable the fact that people would come. And then the fact that when I protect myself, these people jump in there and hit me in the back of the head with a chair or a fucking stick. And then I knock them out. Then they lay there like a fucking victim. Motherfuckers coming in there trying to stab me. Dude pulled a knife on me, and then I punched him in the face and he dropped the knife. Then he's like, oh. Like, it's insane, these motherfuckers. And it always happens to be in fucking West Virginia and Kentucky. And I've had a few in Ohio where I thought, all right, I'll tell you this story here. So I'd say about 6-7 years ago, I was wrestling in a town called Parkway, Ohio. It's about 1 mile from the Indiana border. It was 1 mile from the Indiana border and 1 mile from the county line. So it was like right up in that northwest corner of Ohio. So I come up, promoter comes up and says, "Hey, I want you to brawl all over the building." And I said, "Well, it's fine, but can you get me some protection? And you're gonna have security there, make sure that people don't come after you." Yeah. We'll have protection. So we're doing our shit, we're going on around. Next thing you know, I'm going up the bleachers like he asked me to. And where's the security? They got their thumb stuck up their ass watching, nowhere around me. So this fucking 18-year-old kid comes down shoves me in the chest and takes a swing at me. Missed me on the swing, but shoved me. So I grab him by his britches and I throw him sideways. No, it wasn't even a throw. It was just kind of like I moved him to the side so I could go up the step. So when I did this, he caught his foot on the bleacher and started trying to catch his balance. And next thing you know, he went straight into the fucking wall because as faster as he tried to pick his, he tried to get his footing, he went faster and went straight into the fucking wall.
Oh no.
Lights were fucking out. Of course, the crowd sees this and they're mad at me, even though he comes up and assaults me. But I'm the fucking prick. So we get done with the match. Next thing I know, the sheriff's in this little county. I ain't gonna name the county because I ain't never going back. This crazy story here. Too crazy to make up. So I get to the back and this kid's kind of groggy. And the cops are there trying to get the kid to press charges on me for assault.
Mm.
And I'm like, did you see him take a fucking swing at me and shove me? And they're like, nope, we didn't see a thing. You assaulted him for no reason. I'm going like, God damn. And I'm like, what the fuck? So the kid still lived at home apparently. So he got a hold of his mom. And she asked, the cops are like, man, we want him to press charges because the cops really bought into what I was doing. And the mom stood up for me and said, no, if he did that. And she asked him, said, did you do that? She said, yes. So she said, drop whatever the fuck you're doing. You're not pressing charges on someone when you assaulted them. Okay, so I'm thinking that's the end of it. Somebody comes up to me, I'm taking a shower, and there's like, cops are pulling over fucking cars. And they're asking when you're coming out, and they're looking for you. And eventually someone told them what kind of car you drove. So they're now looking for you in that car. So the guy that I wrestled that night drove my car. I let him have my keys. I go ahead and I get in the trunk of a car of another wrestler, and he drives me that 1 mile over the border to Indiana, to where my buddy was supposed to meet me. And he was like 30 minutes late. So I said, what happened? He said, the cops pulled me over and searched the entire fucking vehicle looking for you. So a couple weeks go by. Somehow this mother got a hold of the promoter and she wanted to make sure that she got the message across to me that everything was fine. I'm like, I thought this was done. And she said, apparently what happened was the sheriffs eventually went to the hospital where the kid, he actually had to go to the hospital because he got a concussion. And it was just me pushing someone out of the way, just trying not after they hit me, swung at me. They were trying to get her to press charges on me at the hospital. They spent time. They were so mad. They were going to do something to me. And I literally got smuggled across the line and drove down the Indiana line because there's a road to go straight down and cross back over 2 counties south where we were staying.
Wow.
So people believe
that they do. They do.
So that's I would say that's probably my craziest road story. Because I mean it was I never thought I would almost have to be going to jail. I think it was back in 2014 because my daughter was born like a couple months later.
Huh.
I mean, just a small little redneck fucking hillbilly farm county. And the cops were buying into what I was doing. I'm doing my job. And these motherfuckers trying to take me to jail and I got assaulted. So,
wow.
I mean, shit.
Yeah, no, hard to beat that for a crazy road story.
Nobody's going to have stories like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next question. Must have travel item.
I got a very nice Ohio State cooler backpack. Okay. So I can take my beer, I can take my food and my lunch meat, whatever I need. It's got pockets on the side. I can take aspirin on the side. I mean, I don't go anywhere without this anyway. I go to the beach. I take this backpack. I take it everywhere. I bring stuff back. When I go to Canada to work for Greektown Pro, the people that I stay with always give me Canadian bacon, per meal bacon to bring home. And, you know, and I have to have it to bring it back. I mean, I don't know what I would do without this cooler.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Next one might be kind of multi question, but bucket list, like wrestling bucket list. If you could name off like a couple things that, like, if you think about them, would you say are on yours?
Jerry the King Lawler first.
Okay.
I've got to wrestle everyone active that I've ever wanted to. He's number one. I'd say Hulk Hogan's on there if he was able to do it. And then handsome Jimmy Valiant, Boogie Woogie Man. I never got to do that.
Okay. Pretty good.
I'd say those three. I don't really have any modern guys that I don't know any. I mean, I've done a lot. I've wrestled a lot of big people. I've been in the ring with Terry Funk and stuff. I mean, Jerry Lawler, it don't get no bigger than Jerry Lawler.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to see where I stand with Jerry Lawler. I'd like that opportunity to see what kind of, where I stand with the King.
We get a promoter's eye on this, man. He's still going periodically. We need to get that to happen.
He's still doing good, man. He still looks good. Great shape. Still got it.
Oh, totally. Last but not least for this one, best advice for aspiring wrestlers.
Besides me telling them to not get in the wrestling business, because I would probably stick to that. Like if someone wants to be a wrestler, I would tell them not to get in the business because you look at the business completely different once you become a part of it.
True.
So I'm not, if somebody wants to do it, God bless them, go with God, that's whatever you want. But it's such a hard business. And I know a lot of people that got into wrestling and then left a couple years later and they were bitter, with the entire business, and they couldn't enjoy watching it anymore. Like, that's why I don't really watch it anymore. Like, I would tell someone that you better make sure that this is what you want to do, because you need to be willing to sacrifice everything. Birthday parties, anniversaries, special important family moments. You better be ready to sacrifice that. There's shit that I never got to do, but still I haven't got to do. And I've been wrestling 17 years, and once you do that, and once you make the realization and the idea that you're willing to do that, then go full tilt, keep your ears open, keep your eyes open and your mouth shut.
That's what I hear a lot from a lot of people is, eyes and ears open, mouth shut. And what you also said about making sure it's what you want. Like, I've had people ask me about, getting into the military and stuff. And I'm just like, here's my advice. Basically, what you were talking about, make sure it is 100% what you want, because you don't want to get there with a doubt in your head, get to boot camp and you all of a sudden start having doubts. And then you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Well, and then I also, one thing is get a dependable vehicle. Always have a spare tire. Always have the proper tools. Make sure you got good tires. Good tires. Have 2-3 spares sitting at your house of the same brand. Old tires, but good ones. Like, I don't know how many times I go down the road and I see these damn kids driving on fucking tires with the thread popping out. And I'm just like, God damn, how the fuck you expect to get anywhere? Get your oil changed every 3,000 miles. Quit buying the fucking video games and buy some fucking tires for your car. It's fucking goddamn kids with fucking video games. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, some people get a little too, like with people say with a lot of stuff. A lot of things are fine in moderation, but some people don't know what moderation even is. You know, they're like, I remember some of the games I've tried to play like online, and it's like you get people that it seems like that's the only thing they ever do. And it's like, holy shit, I'm sorry. And like they start talking crap about people doing worse than them. It's like, well, I'm sorry, I have a life outside of this game.
Yeah, I play video games with my 8-year-old daughter. But other than that, like, man, I ain't got time to sit online at night, you know? I mean, I got to spend time with my family and shit after doing all this damn fucking keeping up with this shit I got over here, you know?
Yeah.
But I just don't understand it. Like a lot, you know, it's just the business has changed in that sense. A lot of the guys are healthier. You know, they don't drink like me, which whatever. You don't have to drink.
Yeah.
But I'm so old school that I like going out after the show and hanging out, bouncing around, talking to people. You learn more at the bar.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the old school things that seems to have carried on is, you know, going to bar after the show, going and, you know, whatever promotion, having an after party, and, you know, talking with the people that you were on the show with or whoever it might be. You know, you'll learn a lot, and that happened back then, and it's definitely seemed to have carried on even today.
Yeah, business is done at the bar.
True. Well, that is about all I have for today. I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to me. Where can people find you social media wise, you know, so they can have an eye on you?
Well, you know, you get on Facebook, Jock Samson. I got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I got a TikTok, which my daughter thinks is funny that I got a TikTok. I enjoy these. I'm actually come around on it. I enjoy the videos. Just type Jock Samson, JockSamson, and it'll pop up and you can find me. You know, I may not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you if you have any questions or anybody out there looking to get a hold of me for anything. I mean, but that's real easy. I keep it to one name all the way through, so it's easy to find me.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And I got a TikTok myself. Got almost 9,000 followers, so I'm inching up there. I'm starting to get back into it.
Understand that.
I have no idea how the hell I got that many followers. But anyways,
that's good.
As we kind of discussed before we started recording, I got some important people I need to get back up to. But
yes, sir.
Again, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Hey, man, give my best to your wife and family. I hope, I know everything will go well for you. I appreciate you having me on here and getting to talk to you, about the business that I love.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.